Thank you guys for joining us. We are currently live on Instagram. You are having a time. Marie got a little trigger happy on Instagram. The viewers got a nice little sneak peek into getting ready for this show. That got pretty interesting. A couple of things. First and foremost, we were at 11,000 on Wednesday. 11,000 views on Wednesday on YouTube. And then, which we are insanely grateful for no matter what. We love the feedback. We love the fact that anybody out there who listens to the show, listens to the shorts, watches the shorts, anything like that, we love the fact that you love watching it, and hopefully you continue to do so. But then Marie brought it to my attention that when we pulled it up earlier, we were at 14,000 views on YouTube. So
yes,
again, far and away the last thing that I thought was going to happen as far as when we started this. So to anybody out there who listens, anybody who watches on YouTube, thank you very much. You are incredible. We have no idea how grateful we are as far as like your viewership. And that will always
mind-boggling.
Yeah,
for us.
Insanely mind-boggling. But
agree.
But with the love also comes a little bit of the hate. Had an interesting. It's funny because anytime, like it seems like anytime I'm speaking my mind or speaking on something that I have a little bit of knowledge on, right, or something that's happened in my own life, somebody likes to comment. Somebody likes to throw out comments about my lack of professionalism, like when a girl told me I had pretty eyes and I didn't know how to respond. Which, by the way, I have a funny story about that. So when I was at pool on this past Tuesday, one of the guys that I play pool with, who's not on my team, he asked me about the podcast. And I was like, yeah, we do it Sundays and stuff like that. He goes, I cannot tell you how hard I laughed when you told the story about the girl that told you had pretty eyes and you had no clue how to respond. He goes, I laughed so hard. He goes, a lot of guys won't admit that that's a problem, that they have that same problem. He goes, I laughed so hard. He goes, you guys are doing a really good job. And I keep it up. I was like, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Kind.
So,
thank you.
Curtis, if you're listening, thank you. I appreciate that very much. So the other one that spawned it is, last week we talked about the nice guy dilemma, and we were talking about the things that, nice guys do, the covert contract, stuff like that. That video that podcast is currently up. So I highly recommend going to listen to it.
Yeah.
So I think on one of the shorts, I think I was talking about, what was the short?
It was the one explaining it. So it was saying what the nice guy dilemma is. And then you had added your insight of I guess your thoughts on so it was our very first opening.
Okay. It was the opening. Okay.
Yeah.
And somebody underneath it made a comment, and I think it's hard to take him seriously when he wears a neck beard and is 200 pounds. Well, I kind of want to rebuttal that because that comment, was a catalyst for this particular episode that we're about to do, for one, and also because you need to get better at your insults, because I've been called fat my entire life, so come at me with something better. First of all, I don't wear a neck beard. I have a neck beard. And I don't know if you've ever had to deal with a chia pet, but it's hard to cut that shit. So that's why I get it done professionally. So I don't really have a choice. Okay. And shaving sucks. So I don't deal with it. Secondly, joke's on you, brother. Or ma'am, whichever one you are. Couldn't really tell from your username. But joke's on you. I was 300 pounds at one point. I'm down to 275. So your little 200 pound joke. Thank you. Appreciate that. Your powers of observation suck, but thank you for the compliment. And thirdly, you're just mad that everything that I was speaking was probably relaying to you in some way or fashion. So, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine, because at the end of the day, I was speaking the truth and you were probably mad about it. And that's okay. And the last thing is, and everybody's like, oh, he's going on a tirade. No, I'm not going on a tirade. The tirade is I just wanted to make a little response, because if there's a little saying that goes that if you're not making enemies, you're not making money. So I just wanted to say thank you for your comment. And, you've just kind of added to what we're doing. So I appreciate the feedback and I appreciate the compliments. So thank you. That being said, what do you want to talk about?
So today we're going into the fact that anxiety, all right, no, it's fine. Okay. So anxiety is often viewed as something that has to be cured, or there's something out there that can cure your anxiety. But today you have brought up the fact that you want to flip that script and use it more as a superpower. So I would love for you to explain that.
Sure. So here is where this kind of started from, or this is actually where the idea came from, is two things. One, the little comment on, hey Lena.
Hi Lena.
The comment on YouTube that was left about my size, my facial features, stuff like that, kind of spurred a little bit of anxiety, right? Because again, I'm not used to, I've taken criticism my entire life, and it's still kind of difficult. But the other thing too is, if anybody that doesn't know me knows that across all socials, my username is SuperDylan10. Has been my entire life. That will never change. That's what it is. So with that, when you give your email when you're buying something or something like that, everybody likes to ask, oh, what's your superpower? Well, for the longest time, my superpower was the fact that I was funny and I'm really good to talk to and all this other stuff. But when I looked at it, I thought about it, and I was like, when they asked me what my superpower was, realistically, my superpower is my anxiety. And I was like, I said it as a joke. I was like, oh, it's my anxiety. And then I went home and I thought about it, and I listened to another podcast that I like to listen to, and they did the same thing. And I thought about it, and I was like, that really is my superpower. And I kind of wanted to expand on that, because there's just some things that my, anxiety gets, there are goods and bads for anxiety. That will always be the case. But I feel like I have taken that negative and turned it into a positive in some way, shape, or form. And I'm probably not the only one who's done that. I'm sure there's many people that have done it. But I just kind of thought about it, and I was like, I kind of want to do that, because I kind of want to talk about that. So that was how that kind of formed into my head. So.
Okay. I can tell you that I am the exact opposite, but that'll be a really good counter argument to have for us
Absolutely.
today.
Absolutely.
I guess I could see that though, where you can allow your anxiety to fuel the things that you want to do in life. But if you're anything like me and it's more paralyzing than it is productive, then you have to kind of break through that glass ceiling.
It's the other thing too is, I just want to make sure. So one, we're not professionals.
Hey, JT.
We're not professionals.
Yeah, no. Disclaimer.
I was gonna say, don't take you can take what we have seriously, but what works for us probably won't work for everybody, right? So I'm not saying that the anxiety is not paralyzing. There is still that paralyzing fear of something happening, and something of the fear of fear itself, honestly, like those thought spirals and stuff like that. That still happens, but there is a portion of my anxiety that fuels me in other aspects of my life, as opposed to paralyzing me. So it's a double-edged sword for me. So, and it's been an interesting understanding of how that has come to be. So one of the things that my anxiety does, and that I utilize as a superpower, is that it's mostly the fear of not doing anything with my life, or the fear of not amounting to anything. I've had that fear my entire life, and that has always driven me to do different things and to try different things and to better myself as much as I can. There is still that procrastination factor that comes with the anxiety, so it doesn't always happen that way. But there have always been points where my anxiety is, what I'm doing now is not enough. I need to do something else, and I need to do something different. I need to make more money. I need to do something different with my career. There's always been something, right, that in the back of my head, that my anxiety is you're not doing enough to push yourself, or you're not doing enough to do X, Y, and Z. You need to do something different. And so that's kind of where that superpower comes from, if that makes sense. Because it's always been in my head. Ever since I was a kid, I can relay times in my life where I've missed weddings, I've missed birthdays, I've missed all sorts of events because my anxiety was you are not working hard enough. You are not doing enough. You are not, there's other people out there.
Halloween parties.
I will never live that down.
Never.
There are people out there that are doing things better than you, that are doing things, you're going to fall behind if you don't stop, or if you stop. If you go to this party, you're going to fall behind. If you do this, you're going to fall behind. I'm not sure where this was when I was in school, because I would be in a different scenario, but that just kind of always pushed me to be nope, I can't stop. I have to keep going. There has to be something different that I can do. And that's where different avenues of creativity come into play, right? So that's kind of been that's kind of the superpower aspect that I dig into. Is it healthy? No, it's not. Because again, like I said, I've missed weddings, I've missed parties, I've missed birthdays, I've missed all kinds of stuff because of the fact that I wanted to do this, because I was afraid of somebody getting ahead of me, or not being enough, or turning around the following day and not having something to show.
Okay.
So that's where that comes from. I'm trying to look good in front of people and make something of myself and have something to talk about. That's where it comes into play. So yeah, there's always there's always this in the back of my head is like, you're not learning enough, you're not doing enough, you're not trying hard enough, you need to do something different. So, and then it's also the crippling fact of, if it's not improving, or I'm not doing it correctly, or I'm not doing it right, then it's like, okay, well now I have to try 10 times harder, and then it gets worse. So that's the double-edged sword of it, of, you're not doing enough, but you're not doing it right. Well, you're not doing it right, keep trying. Well, that's good, but you have no idea what you're doing. Great. Now what? So that's where that comes into play. So again, is that healthy? Absolutely not. But I kind of do my best to flip the script on that, because it's not healthy, but it kind of helps me, if that makes sense.
Yes, I totally understand that. I feel like for me, I get into a tailspin of, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need this over here. And then I go through a list of things, and I just literally cannot even finish it. Like, I can't even start it, because I'm scared that I'm already thinking, I don't have enough time, I'm not going to be able to do that, I'm not good enough, I can't. Right. And then it just literally it paralyzes me. And I really think that's where my procrastination comes in. Yeah. That was a hard word for me to say. Nation.
$10 word, or the $10 word on Scrabble.
Yes, Lena. It's like hitting a wall. Still working through it.
Yeah. So, and I hit that same wall too, because I have those same problems. Because it's like, my anxiety is like, you're not doing enough. Well, I don't know. What am I not doing enough of? Well, I don't know. What are you not doing enough of? And then it just goes through that list of crap. Sorry. That I need to do. But it's like, well, then that paralyzing factor comes into play. But the problem is, it doesn't paralyze me. I just go into like this little circle, this little lazy Susan type scenario, where I go round and round with my head going, okay, well, I'm not stopping, but I'm stopping. Does that make sense? So it's like, I'm continuously hitting this wall and just pushing into this wall. I don't know if you guys play video games, but when you like those old video games, you get to the wall and you just keep walking into the wall and you're not going anywhere. That's what's happening when I have those tailspins. So it's like, I'm constantly moving forward, but am I going anywhere? Probably not. Okay. It's just this effect of continuously moving forward. And that's the anxiety. That's the downside of that little portion of that anxiety, where it comes into play of, well, you're not doing enough. Okay, well, what am I not doing enough of? You're not doing enough of this. Well, what is this? And it's just this reoccurring thing. Completely understand that. To me, in my head, it just doesn't paralyze. I'm still moving forward, but I'm still moving, but I'm just not going forward. Whereas, and I think I'm taking that whole paralyzed thing too literally. I'm just consistently trying to move forward. Am I moving forward? Probably not, but I'm still trying to move forward. And that's the worst part about it, of you're not really doing anything. Paralyzing would probably be safer for me at that point, but it's not, because I just don't do that. I just keep going, but I'm not going anywhere.
Do you feel like, well, let me ask you this then. What is your breakthrough moment? Like, do you have to take a step back to jump over the wall per se, or do you just start slamming your fist into it and break it down? Like, how do you feel like gets you through it?
So it depends on what I'm working on or what I'm doing at the time. So if it's something creatively, or if it's something that I'm trying to do for example, for some of my game nights for like DM for D&D, right? There are times where I'll hit a wall and I just can't. There's something and I can't grab it. I'm at a point, but I can't grab it. So a lot of times what'll end up happening is I will take a step back. Problem is my mind is still there, but I will take a step back and I'll try to do something different, and I'll try to focus on something else. And then all of a sudden it clicks. That's where it kind of comes through. It's like focusing on other menial tasks, like folding clothes, picking some stuff up in my room. It's like, okay, hold on. Like, I'll turn around, and then I was like, oh, well, that's there. Let me get rid of that right quick. And then and then I'll have that aha breakthrough moment. A lot of times it's just, I just sit there and I just kind of rock back and forth, or I'll just sit there and I'll just make facial expressions at the computer going, what am I missing? What am I doing? Yeah. I mean, normally, like, I'll sit, like, for example, if we're not doing a show on a Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. And because I'm used to using my energy on this, and I have to put my energy somewhere. What I will normally do is, I'm not that careful, I will sit at my desk for 8 to 10 hours by accident. and just steadily just find things to create or do things differently. And then I'll look up and it's like midnight. And I'm like, oh, I haven't eaten anything. I haven't had a drink of water. I haven't left this spot. Because I'll literally just sit there and just try to focus on trying to get through to this next portion. Do I know what this next portion is? No, I have no clue. I have no clue where I'm going to go with this. But I'm here and I want to do this. And I have an end goal, but I don't know where. And then I'll hit a point and I'll be like, okay, well, I want to get here.
What's the road?
What's the road to get there, right?
To get there.
So, yeah.
So to share a personal story, the other week I decided, okay, enough's enough. I really need to clean out our bedroom. And Colin jokes because I have taken over the entire closet and he has like these shelves on the other side of our bedroom. So I was like, okay, I'm going to clean out the closet. I'm going to give him some space. We're going to clean out his side. And we're just really going to clean the bathroom. It just really needed to get done. And it's been on the list for a while. So I started it and I was thinking, this is going to be great. I'm going to get this done. And then I started. And I guess I don't know what the right word is. I guess I'm an ADHD cleaner. Mm-hmm. So like I'll start over here. And then I'm like, ooh, but what about this? Ooh, but what about that? And then I'm like, I have all of this stuff on our bed and I'm looking at it and I like break down in tears. And I was like, I can't do this. I get to a point in the middle where I'm just like, how do I get through this? Yes, Lena, it's overwhelming. Yeah. And then, so what I actually did was I put all of that stuff back, like over on his side. And then I was like, I'm going to start in the bathroom. Let me start one room at a time. And I literally walked in there. I closed the door. And then I got through that portion and that felt like it was accomplishment. And then I told myself, oh, well, next weekend I'll tackle the bedroom. The next weekend rolled around and I was like, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
So it's still sitting there, just a hot mess. But yeah, eventually I'll be able to wrangle up enough willpower to get through it. But I think I've built it up. I have a massive doom pile on our bed right now too. Oh my gosh,
my bed. I utilize. The problem is
this is real life.
Yeah, I can utilize my bed to like hold stuff. Like what happens is like I'll use my desk to like hold a bunch of stuff, and then when I need to get in that desk, like I have different stuff. Like I have, for example, I'm a dealer with Barracuda Billiards for gloves, racks, and tips and chalk and stuff like that. So I have like this massive assortment of products that's sitting in a box, right? And it sits in my chair at my desk. And then what I'll do is when I go to work, I'll take that box, move it, put it on my bed, and then just sit down at my desk. And then when I'm done, I mean, I'll still sit in my chair for a little bit, but then when I go ready to go to bed, I'll take that box, put it back in my chair, and then get in bed. So that box stays there the entire time. I have all these products, but I have nowhere to put them. And I'm not moving them because what's going to happen is I'm going to move them into a secure location, and then I'll never can find them again.
Do you fantasize about like, ooh, if I just had this shelf, I could put it exactly how I wanted it, and then like, you can't ever build it up?
Yes.
You'll go to the store and you're like, oh, I don't like that, or ew, that's too expensive, or
Yeah, it's even worse. I'll go on Amazon.
Oh no.
And I'll try to find the perfect shelf that's in my head or whatever.
It's been hours.
And then it's not there. And I'm like, well, this isn't what I'm looking for. This is not what I want. This is not what I need. And then I can't find it. And then I'm like, well, I quit because I'm not going to the store. I'm not going to the store.
You have mentioned that. You're not a store person.
I am not a store person by any stretch of the imagination. There are multiple places in this world that I'm not allowed to go by myself. And like the Container Store, I don't know if those things are still around, is one of those places I'm not allowed to go to by myself because I will literally spend hours upon hours upon hours just walking through that store. Mm-hmm. Same with Home Depot. Same with, well, it used to be Dick's Sporting Goods, but it's not that way anymore. There's multiple places I can't go by myself that I will just spend too much time. And then I'll just find something that I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And I'll end up buying something that I'll never use.
I bought a shelf because I was like, I'm going to organize all this stuff on Colin's side of the room because I took the whole closet. And the shelf sat there for a hot minute.
In the box or put together?
In the box.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, Marie, like, you got this. You can do it. And I open it and it's like a typical IKEA thing. Like you have to get the drill out and all that. So I'm like walking around, I've got the drill, and Colin's like, what are you doing with a power tool? Like, I've got this.
Time.
So yeah, he helped me put it together because I almost drilled through. It wasn't good.
My favorite thing is when
Wasn't
you like here's the downside with me on that. So I will immediately get it and I'll put it together at the same time. I'll get it home, put it together, have no problems. Then the problem is where I want to put it is not ready for it to go there. Because then I got to go do
same, Lena, same.
Oh no, just drilling random holes. Like I'll eventually hit the stud. Eventually, I can see that happening. I'm sure I would eventually do that eventually, and I have to just like paint over it, like, oh god, I hope they don't notice. But no, what I'll do is I'll put the shelf together, and I'm like, aha, I got it. And then I go to put it where it's at, and I've got all this other crap that I was going to put on the shelf there. So then it's like, well, now I have to find a place to put this stuff. Well, I put this here and then put this stuff on top of there. And then I'm just like, oh, well, okay, fine. I guess I'll do it. And then you put it together and you get all the stuff on there, and the shelf is like, that's not really what I had in mind.
Yep. It doesn't serve the purpose you wanted it to, and then it gets that spins you into a spiral.
Oh yeah, then it's like, oh damn it, I spent all this money.
Gosh.
I spent the money on this thing, and it's not what I wanted. But I made an impulse buy because I needed it. Oh, I didn't need it. Derail the subject here. Is the timer on your show working?
No.
Okay, it's not working on mine either. But we are recording, right?
No.
Hold on, we're not recording?
No. I don't know why. I don't know what to say. Literally, it says start recording. No way.
So for those of you playing the home game, we're live on Instagram, which you're going to hear. So the way you're listening to this is nothing's actually happened, but I'm going to talk about it because it would not be us if something like this didn't happen. So almost the entire beginning of this show was done on Instagram Live because for some reason we recorded and we didn't record. We hit the record button, we started going, our intro played, all this other stuff, and then we just happened to look up, and the timer on our show wasn't going. And then we realized we're not recording, so we had no clue what was happening. So, yeah, take two.
How does your anxiety work for you? How do you turn it into a superpower?
So I just allow it to take over, and I just allow it, I guess, for lack of a better term, win. Like one of the things that I've learned as far as my anxiety goes is it's not going anywhere. It's never changing. It's not going to go anywhere. I can't fix it. I can't get rid of it. So there are times when I just allow it to win, so to speak, if that makes sense. I've learned that actively fighting against it and trying to control it just makes it worse. So instead of fighting against it or, trying to control it or fix it, I'm just like, you know what? You win. You got me. Sorry. I'll just give in, right? And then giving in, so to speak, is I feel like it takes that power away from it.
Okay.
And so I just go back to normal, I guess, if that makes sense. So, for example, I've got a long list of stuff to do. And then those thought spirals kick in of, you're not working hard enough, you're not working fast enough, you're not doing this. And it's like, you know what? You're right. I'm not. You win. And then it just
launches you into
it just kind of goes away. And then it's like, all right, well, here we go. So I guess letting it win is kind of the best way I could describe it because, there's those thought spirals of I think that does keep me from getting paralyzed by it. I think that's one of those reasons why I don't necessarily get paralyzed, even though it should be. Mm-hmm. And I should be getting paralyzed. Like, you know what? You win. Let's not do this. You can have control. I'll take it back eventually, but go ahead. And then eventually it goes away and I just go back to what I'm doing. It's easier said than done for certain. And I'm not saying like it's you win kind of thing. It's like, all right, cool, let's go. One of those things where it's like I fight against it and I continuously fight against it. I'm like, it's not that bad. And then it gets worse. And then it's like, all right, you got me. What do you want? Well, I don't know what I want. Okay, well, what do you want to do? You win. And it just goes away. And it just stops. I'm like, all right, well, I need to do this. Let's get this done. Which kind of works out. So that's kind of where that whole superpower, that's how I kind of, I kind of avoid overthinking. Now, the caveat to that is that doesn't always work. It's like, for example, like if you wake up, exactly. But there are times where I'll wake up and I can kind of feel it creeping. And then it's like, all right, you win. You can have today, but tomorrow I'm going to take back what I'm going to take back what I want to do, you know? And those are the days that I'm just not as productive as I want to be. And that does mess with me, but it's like, I'm not winning this argument with you. So you can have today, but just know that I'll be back tomorrow and we'll figure this out. So that's the downside of that, is letting it win doesn't always get rid of it. It's like, aha, well, you're not doing anything today. Or you're not doing what you're not going to do anything you want to do today. I'm taking over.
So visually, while you were talking, and I don't know if this brings out my nerd or not, but I just envision Devil's Snare, you know, in the Harry Potter world when they're in the when they're trying to get into the Chamber of Secrets. So they're stuck in the Devil's Snare, and Hermione figures out if you stop fighting it, it'll pull you through.
Yeah, it'll let you fall through.
And let you fall through. Is it Ron that can't stop fighting? And so she has to use sunlight to kill it. And hopefully this is not a spoiler alert, because it's from like when did the first book come out? Like 1998?
Oh, it was like
or 2000?
Early 2000, at least early 2000, maybe later than that. If you haven't seen that movie or read those books,
but
that's your fault.
But anyway, it made me think like sometimes you have to stop fighting your anxiety to let it pull you, and then the sunshine is things that help you get through it. Like friends, family, phone calls, going outside, even sunlight. Actually,
so you need sunlight.
I'm sorry.
No.
That pulled me through.
No, that's the perfect analogy for what it is. It is constantly fighting against something that is actively trying to pull you in the right direction. You just don't know what that direction is. But once you eventually let it have its moment, you can move on with your life. Is that always the way it works? No, not at all. That's not how. I'm saying that like I can do that all the time, but I don't. Like I said, there are times when it's like, you know what, you can have today, because I can already tell that this is not going to work for me today. So, but tomorrow I'm going to be back.
You're going to claim it.
I'm going to claim this back. So
I love that. So maybe we jump to, because we've kind of talked about the flip side of that already. Do you have any other thoughts on how to make anxiety your superpower?
Again, this is not a professional statement. This is just what works for me. And different people have different anxieties about different things. You know, there are the fear of fear itself, and then there's different things of what you do. For me, like I said, it's just allowing it to have its moment, and then for it to take over. Be like, all right, you win. You know, these thought spirals won't go away. I can't do anything about it. I'm continuously fighting a bit against it. It's the dumbest thing ever. Go ahead. That's the only thing that I could think of. I don't necessarily know if there's anything else that I could really truly add it to be a superpower. But I think that would be the main thing, is like, there are times where I'll actively fight against it, but then it's like, all right, sometimes fighting against it does work because I can put it away. But then it's like, all right, you got me on this one. What do you want me to do? And then it goes away. It'll be back. It always comes back for sure.
We want to hear, it doesn't always feel good, but it feels productive. And I think that's kind of important to point out as well. Like, your anxiety can cause all kinds of turmoil, and it may not feel good, but it is doing something. It is productive at the end of the day.
Yeah. So
if you're questioning yourself, you're growing.
Right. Exactly.
Or even being aware of it is like you're speaking of, you understand that what you're going through is anxiety. Some people cannot put a name to what they're feeling, but if you eventually are able to pinpoint, boy, that's my anxiety creeping up, then you can own it like you do and say, you know what, today is not going to be super great, but tomorrow I'm taking it back.
Right.
And to be able to even put a name to it, I think is a superpower.
Yeah. So the other thing too, and you know what, I should have led with this. So Lena, you can help me on this one, because I feel like you're the expert on this portion. I think the anxiety portion stems from the amygdala portion of the brain, which is the alarm system. And it's literally there to heighten your awareness and to for threat detection and threat protection, basically. So basically that anxiety is it's trying to protect you from something. And a lot of times that protection, you don't know what that protection is because of those thought spirals. So that's another, and I should have led with that because that's another reason why it can be a superpower is it's literally designed to, right. It's literally designed to, as a protective portion of your brain, the alarm system. Like, what do you do when you see a wolf in the bushes and you run, right? That's
If
the anxiety. Huh?
If you can.
If you can.
Some people will be paralyzed and.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, though. It's different for a lot of people, but
Yeah.
the anxiety is literally made, well, that portion of your brain, the alarm, is literally made for protection and to heighten your awareness and stuff like that. So with anxiety disorders, that's where it becomes overactive and heightening that fear to worry and stuff like that, even though there's no real danger. But that's kind of, it's wired into our brains. It's just, there's sometimes it just kind of comes into play there. And I should have led with that when we started this, because I was reading about, like, I didn't really exactly know where it comes from. And I was reading up on it before I came over here. That makes sense. Because it's there to perceive a threat. Now, with anxiety, you don't really know what that threat is. So then that's where the thought spirals kind of come into play. So literally, if you are somebody who doesn't have that type of anxiety, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, it's there. It will always be there. It's in everybody. Harder for different people. That's another thing too, is that's another reason why I wanted to address that, was because of the fact that it's not a bad thing. It's literally wired into your brain. It's just you you in particular, whoever you are. If you have that heightened anxiety, whoever you are, it's overactive, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's wired into you. You just happen to have it. It just happens to be hyperactive and overactive in your brain. So for some people, it's different. So I feel like a lot of people take anxiety in a negative connotation, and they feel like there's something wrong with them, and they feel like there's something like, I feel like there's
says it was programmed for protection initially.
Yeah.
So.
And I feel like people will not admit of that anxiety because they feel like there's something wrong with them. There's something, they're a freak or whatever, right? It's programmed into everybody. It just happens that you as a human being, it's a little overactive in your brain. So not you in particular, but whoever has that issue. Well, yeah. We've already covered the fact that it's overactive in you.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, hi, I'm the problem. Okay, well, that's a good lead into talking about how we can balance it. How do we have it be the fuel versus our flame out? Because I can tell you right now, I am on the flame out path of anxiety. Like, it hits me, and then sometimes I can use it and go places.
Right.
Other times, more often than not, it sets me on fire, and I just can't move past it.
Right. So this one is a little tricky for me because, again, for me, it just comes down to the fact of I know it's there. I've accepted that it's there. I've accepted the fact that it's not going anywhere. And I think the other part of that is, I think that portion of accepting it and being able to put a term and to put a name to it, essentially, that's sort of comforting, is the fact that I know what it is, and I take pride and comfort in knowing that it's there. And the reason I take comfort in it is not because it's there. Like, if I didn't have it, I would be fine, right? But I take comfort in the idea that A, I know what it is. B, I can recognize when it's coming. And C, I don't necessarily know how to get rid of it or fix it, but I can actively work with it. And if you wanted to turn it into fuel, one of your course of actions is understanding that, 1, it's not going anywhere. 2, it's there for my protection. 3, just and this is going to sound weird, but take comfort in the fact that you can identify it and it's there, if that makes sense. Because I know it's just like, oh, you take comfort in your anxiety. No, I don't take comfort in my anxiety. I take comfort in the fact that I can pinpoint it and put a name to it, and I could recognize when that feeling is coming into play. That's where I can take comfort in. And I feel like if you kind of flip it into that sort of that positive state, I think that can help. And then also just accepting the fact that it's like, all right, well, you can win at this one. But
is there something that you specifically do when things get too loud in your brain? Do you journal? Do you go on walks? Is that when Frank comes in with your therapy?
it's kind of a mixture of,
Hi, Frank.
yeah, right. It's kind of a mixture of all three. The problem is so I try to journal, but I can't journal at these point in times because I cannot, two things. One, I physically cannot stand my handwriting. It is atrocious and it bothers me so much. So I know we said no self-deprecating talk, but I physically do not like my handwriting, and I can't, sometimes, and when I write too fast, it just gets horrible. So like those thoughts don't really get put on a piece of paper. It just kind of it turns into chicken scratch after a while.
Okay.
And the second thing is with the whole journaling aspect for me is I can't get my brain to sit still long enough for me to put this down on paper.
Sure.
So I'm like, I do journal, but I am like, I put that to the side, like either the last thing that I'm going to do, because I cannot physically, like if I'm going through that particular moment, if I'm going through that spiral, then it's like that goes, I yeet that to the side, because it's like, I cannot physically take a pencil and put something on this paper, because that is not going to happen. And if I do it, it's not going to come out as an original thought, and it's not going to work. I mean, humor, I find humor in everything. So it doesn't matter. That does help a little bit, but the humor, movement and breathing, like I'll take a walk and I will literally talk to myself.
Oh, me too. You are not alone.
I will put my headphones in and I will walk, and then sometimes the problem is I will talk with my hands.
Oh, so you look like
I literally look like I'm having a conversation.
As long as you have your headphones
whoever.
in,
Yeah.
in this age of Bluetooth,
I do the best. Yeah,
you're on the phone.
I do that, but it's also one of those things where it's like I am actively answering the questions that I am asking. So even if I've got those headphones in, and if you're walking by me, I am actively asking myself questions
and answering
them at the same time. Or I can actually keep it locked in my brain, and I'll still do the movements, like literally talk with my hands. Or not even talk. I'll just sit there and think through it as I'm having the conversation and just kind of going. I will literally make the mannerism as if I'm talking out loud. So it it definitely looks sus.
I do that in my car. I'll be driving and just like talking to myself.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time.
Then I'll like look over and somebody's making direct eye contact with me, and then I'm like, oh,
because they're trying to figure out A, what you're jamming to, or B, who you're talking to, because literally sometimes those conversations can get out of hand, and you're like, then you start yelling. You're like, hold on a second, I'm talking to myself.
Wait,
why am I yelling at? Why am I talking to me like that?
I personally, I pretend to be on my phone when I'm caught talking to myself. Yes, same. I do that as well. I'm like, hello? I personally like to go and flip around, like at the gym or whatever, and that's just the gymnast in me talking, but it's easier for me to get, I think, extra, I don't know what to call it, I guess extra energy out of my body if I literally use it to go and flip around or go to the gym or something, go on a walk. Like movement really helps me a lot because it exhausts me enough to get to the core root of why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling.
Right.
Instead of having spiral thoughts.
Yeah. I have noticed that one of the things that I started doing here recently that I haven't done in the past was I will literally, like, if I can't take it anymore and I just can't, I was like, you know what, I can't be in this same area. I will literally pack up my backpack, get in my car, and drive to somewhere, wherever that can be. Usually I can be at a Riverwalk in Los Felinas, in the Irving area, I think. I can't remember. It's Los Felinas, sorry. And I'll sit there with my thoughts, and I will just watch, and I'll just kind of walk around that, or I'll do something or other. And that's another thing that I do is like I physically, if I'm having if I'm at that point in time to where trying to like letting it win is not working, then I will physically leave the space that I'm in to avoid to give myself more room to, I guess, breathe, so to speak. And then I will actively try to find somewhere else to be, and to where I can't be bothered, or I can't be, nobody can find me, if that makes sense, right? So that I can be alone with those thoughts and be like, all right, listen, we need to have a discussion because you're ruining my day. What do you want from me? You want this day? Well, fine, you can have today, but keep in mind, tomorrow I got shit to do. So let's get this out of the way now. And any of you, that's how that conversation goes, literally. We have a nice heart to heart talk, and it's like, hey, listen, you can have today, but tomorrow I got shit to do. So I need you to figure out what you want me to do and what you want from me today, and let's get it out of the way. And then, does that always work? Sometimes that little devil on my shoulder likes to stay there for a little bit. But again, that's where the whole embracing thing comes into play, because the acceptance of it is like, all right, you're not going anywhere. Let's talk about this, and let's go, and let's figure out how to work together on this, right? And then that's identifying triggers. But then again, I don't know what my triggers are. I do know that I have triggers and what they could be, but I'm not exactly sure. So that's another thing that I'm trying to figure out, is like what those type of triggers could be. But then again, with my anxiety, my trigger could be anything. I could watch something on TV and then have a flashback to something that happened in high school, and then it's like, well, now that's stuck there. Now I'm going to dwell on that and then that's what the spiral. So it could be anything. Mm-hmm. That's the only downside with it, is like it could pop up at any point in time.
Do you have, or are you aware of any warning signs? It says like snapping at people, obsessively replaying conversations, or losing sleep. Like, do any of these things happen to you, or do you have anything similar of, I guess, triggers that you would be like, ooh, tomorrow's gonna not be a good day, or you can feel it creeping in?
There are times where I can feel it creeping in. The replaying conversations, that's a pretty big one for me, just because of the fact there are conversations that, if I'm dreading conversations, or if there's a conversation that's coming into play that I'm getting ready for, or if
create scenarios in your brain.
Yeah, or I just create scenarios in my brain that haven't happened yet, that probably won't even happen yet, and have no business happening, but then I'm preparing myself for that type of scenario.
Yeah.
Even though it's not going to happen, right? Or it might not happen. So I think those are the things that I think those two come into play. Losing sleep, sleep and I haven't really gotten along all that well my entire life. So that's kind of one of those things where it's like, it is what it is type of situation. Sometimes I get what I need, sometimes I don't. So I just, we're not really on the best of terms. So maybe that could be one of the things. I don't know, but my entire life has been one of those things where it's like, I don't really sleep that well. But but the problem is, that's also where that whole caveat of, at the beginning of the show, I talked about, if you're not making enemies, you're not making money. The caveat is, well, how can you sleep at night? What are you talking about sleep? I don't have time for sleep. I'd rather eat well. I'd rather, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather do other things. And how do you sleep at night? I don't care. I would rather eat well. And that's the villain side of that superpower of, I don't care what it's going to take or what it's going to cost me. I'm getting to this point. And that's where the whole missing parties, weddings, birthdays comes into play. It's like
Halloween parties.
She was going to never. I'm just going to put that on a bingo card and give that to everybody who watches the show and be like, all right, we can either make this a free space, or you wait for her to say it, because she will. She brings it up every episode. But yeah, that's where that whole portion comes into play, is, when somebody looks at me and says, how do you sleep at night? Because I've done some dastardly things. I've said some dastardly things in my life. Well, how do you sleep at night? And my brain goes, I'd rather eat well. I'd rather drive a fancy car or do all this stuff. Yes, that sounds vain, but that's the villain side of my brain coming out because of that anxiety, because it's like, I don't care. I don't have no qualms about that. And then it backtracks, and I'm like, oh, now I have to fix that. So, it's like, oh, he's got two different personalities. He does, but they're the same person. They're just different mannerisms, if that makes sense. But yeah, sleep and I have never actually got along all that well. So I try to give the devil his due on that one, but sometimes it don't always work. Because again, this never stops moving. And that's the problem.
I have a really hard time sleeping when my husband is not home. And I don't know what it is. I have zero idea what it is. But I triple lock all the doors, all the windows. I lock the bedroom door. I just cannot sleep if he's not home. So this past weekend, he's been with one of his really good buddies. They had a boys' weekend lot of fun. And so I decided, you know what, let me try one of those apps that like play sounds that make you sleep or whatever and help you fall into kind of
Did you listen to Matthew McConaughey?
the playlist I selected was like anxiety free sleep or something like that. Well, I have been having a really hard time lately with my skin, which has been like something you and I have talked about, but I haven't shared on here. But for whatever reason, I am breaking out in hives like every other day for no reason. And I can't figure out what I'm allergic to. And allergy tests cost money that I don't necessarily have right now. So I'm just trying to like, is that it? Anyway, last night I had another attack. So I took a Benadryl and that helps, whatever. However, they knock me out. I was zoinked. However, sorry, words. I had that playlist going. And when I tell you, I fell asleep and then I felt like I was awake and I couldn't
hate that
move my
Oh,
body.
no.
And it was like I was trying to tell myself to wake up
Oh.
and I couldn't do it. And it scared the crap out of me. And then it was like one of those where like I thought I woke up.
And then I wasn't.
Moving. Yes.
You're like doing all this other stuff. And then you're like, all of a sudden you're like, oh, wait, I'm still asleep.
Yes.
Or I'm.
Yeah. But I literally had to scream myself awake.
Or you like tell yourself, okay, move.
And then I was like, what kind of playlist am I listening to? Anyway, it was like so funny because it was an anxiety-free playlist. That is super interesting. Lena, I have full faith that you'll be able to talk me through a lot better than I screamed at myself last night.
That brings up a good point. And those of you who are listening on the podcast, we're actively on Instagram. And one of our past guests, Lena, who is a QHHT practitioner, she brought up the fact that we're talking about the sleep paralysis. That's the theta portion that she was speaking of. We need to make time to do one of those.
Yes, please.
Go through one of those with her, because I think that would be another fun thing for us to do. So we definitely need to schedule that. I just don't know why I thought about that, but then I put two together, I'm like, aha, well, this kind of coincides with what we're talking about. So we need to make time to do that. Maybe we'll film it. I don't know. I'm afraid of what I'm going to do, of what's going to be said while I'm not be able,
Get yourself in trouble.
Yeah, right. I'm always in trouble. When you said Benadryl, and I started laughing, and I hope you didn't take this the wrong way, but I started laughing because my mom used to call Benadryl the $7 baby.
That's amazing.
And the more I thought about it, and I was like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it used to do the same thing for me, so I'm not sure if it does, because I haven't taken one in a long time, but yeah, my mom used to call it the $7 baby. She called it the $7 babysitter.
Yeah, it was
it's wild, isn't it?
It was wild. Yeah, for sure.
I hate that feeling, especially when you're partially asleep. You can hear everything that's going on around you, but you can't react to it, or you can't say anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting.
And I was literally in my dream. I was screaming, fighting, but I wasn't moving in real life.
Yeah.
So it's like I had to break through the surface to actually wake up, and then when I finally did, I was like, well, I'm not going back to sleep.
I can't do that again.
That was terrifying. And I just found it funny because it was an anxiety-free playlist, and it caused 10 times that.
Yeah.
So
like, what was it? Was it like rain sounds? Like, what was it?
No, it was just like...
Was it music?
Yeah, It was just like really calming. It put me right to sleep. But I don't know if there was some kind of noises in there. I don't know. I have zero idea. Don't ask me. I do like rain sound. Well, that's good to know that I'm not alone in this. I bet it was.
The binaural beats or whatever. I listen to those sometimes.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Yeah, that helps out a lot. But sometimes there are certain ones that'll pop in. I'm like, let me get rid of that because I don't like the way that sounds. That triggers something in my head. I just because you were talking about putting on a playlist, and I was watching a video because on the Calm app it can read you a bedtime story, and one of the bedtime story readers is Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, okay.
And I remember pulling up the app and listening to it, and then Matthew McConaughey's voice. Well, hello everybody. I'm gonna read you a bedtime story. And I was just like, I don't think I can handle this. I can't take this seriously.
Giggling to yourself every 3 seconds.
Exactly, because I know how I can put the voice to the face. So I was like, I don't think this is gonna work for me tonight.
Oh my god.
But I do know a lot of people like swear by that, but I'm just like, that's funny, but I don't know.
It's strange because like I've shared on here before, but I'm not a person that really likes a lot of sound. And then going to sleep, I don't even know why I tried it, but it did its job. It put me to sleep very quickly. But then it was like I felt trapped in my own brain, which was
That's terrifying.
yeah.
I would never want to be trapped in
And I think
my brain.
it's because I build up this irrational fear that I'm like literally someone's gonna break in and when Colin's not home.
Or there's somebody watching you while you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I do that too.
And then I just couldn't wake up. Anyway, back to this. How do you have a personal mantra that you use to kind of get through moments that are hard?
I don't know if I have a personal mantra, but what I say to myself a lot is, well, I guess we're doing this now. And I say that a lot in anything that comes up. It's good, bad, indifferent. All right, well, I guess we're doing this now. And it could be something that I was dreading, and then it comes into play. Then it's all right. Well, here we are. We're gonna do this now. Not necessarily a mantra, but I do say that a lot when something starts happening and like quote unquote bad. I guess. All right, I guess we're doing this now. It's another one. Oh, well, here we are. All right. Here we go. Now, I don't know about a personal mantra. I think I need to figure one out.
Well, maybe it doesn't have to be something you've created in your own brain, but is there something that you ever repeat that maybe you've heard from a TV show, a book? And you might not have one, and that's totally fine.
Actually, one that I repeat to myself all the time is slow is fast. And that has a lot more meaning than I actually realized until just now. So
that's what I'm here for. No,
yeah, right.
Just kidding.
Anytime that I'm complaining or having issues with, I feel like I'm not making enough progress, or I'm not moving fast enough, or I'm not doing something. Frank will always say, he's like, slow is fast. And that holds true for any portion of my life. Either the grieving process of either losing a friend or a relative or whatever, the active portion of your brain where you're trying to work, where you're trying to learn something, all this other stuff. Slow is fast. And it's like the slower you move it, the faster you're going to get there because of the fact that you're actively trying to figure it out, as opposed to just trying to get through it. You're trying to work through it. You're not trying to get through it, you're trying to work through it.
Yeah.
So that's one that I do repeat to myself, and that's when it comes into play. And the other one,
I love that.
The other one too is progress, not perfection. I have an issue with perfectionism. However, progression is there are certain things, aspects of my life that I will never be able to perfect, but I can make progress.
Yeah. At
that, and I can continuously make progress. So progress, not perfection, is also something that I repeat. Don't know if they hold. I don't think that one holds true to this. Well, it does, because I'm always actively seeking that perfect like look or that perfect storm or whatever to do something. But again, it'll never be perfect because that's how my brain is. It's never going to be perfect, no matter what. Doesn't matter how hard I try, how hard I work, it'll never be perfect. But I'm making the progress towards making it perfect. So progress, not perfection.
I personally, from the time I was little, would repeat to myself, you never know until you try. And I know that's like super cliche, but my anxiety struggles a lot around what will people think of me if I do this thing? What will, like, just the thoughts of other people destroy myself.
When I step into this room, what are people going to see?
Exactly. Yeah. And so I think project a lot of that onto other people, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. When I was 11, I don't know, I went with a couple of my friends to this community center. They were having like this Friday night, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they were having a dance competition. And I've never been a dancer, but it sounded like a lot of fun. And I was still in gymnastics. So my friends were trying to get me to do like backflips and stuff in the gym. And so we were doing all of this. And I told myself, I can't do this. Like, what will they think of me? I can't do this. I'll look silly. People are going to think I look dumb. So I kind of got off to the side and I just kind of did a couple one of these things right here. And then I did a backflip and like all these things. And my friends were like, yeah, woo. But I was so far removed from other people because I was worried about what they would see or think of me. Then literally the worst thing ever happened. There was a judge and he put us in a line and he walked over and he like held his hand above each of our heads and he was like, what do you think about, like, how did she do or whatever? Crickets. Nothing. No sound came out of anyone's mouth except for my friends. They were like, yay. But
Yeah.
and then they like went to the next person. And it's because they didn't see me.
Right.
But in my brain, I was like, they think I looked stupid, you know? And
They
now,
didn't see you, only your friends saw you, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
I can look back on that now and be like, I was so far removed from everyone because I was too worried about it.
Mhm.
But in the moment, I was like, everyone hates me. So I think it's powerful to be able to look back and reflect, but don't let it take you back there and create that feeling again.
Yeah. No. That's completely accurate. I remember that actually brought up a memory for me, and I have no clue. Well, I have a clue. Sorry. So during our senior year, I don't know if you guys, you remember the dodgeball games against the teachers, the seniors against the teachers.
No, but
so during the pep rallies or whatever, they would do. There was another one.
I don't remember that at all.
With
I think I blocked it out. But that's crazy. I don't remember that at all.
Okay. Well, that's okay. Dylan has such listen, short attention span, long memory. I can unlock things.
Do you remember that, Lena?
Somebody out there will remember, be like, no, the dodgeball game was a real thing. The basketball thing, basketball thing, you probably won't remember because I don't know. I don't know how I got dragged into it. Everybody knows I have no business being on a basketball court. I have never once played basketball in my entire life. I like watching it.
I tried freshman year.
There's just no way. I cannot.
I made the C team.
I tried out and it didn't work for me. And I was like, this isn't going to work for me, so I'm not going to do it. That was 7th grade. So I was like, not for me. But again, we talked about this. Like I was going to put more into this as opposed to athleticism. I didn't have any, so invested more in this. Well, there was a student teacher basketball something or other. I can't remember what it was. I know that my teacher, the teacher at the time, it was Miss Linwood. She was a business image management and multimedia teacher.
Okay.
And she and I had a really good relationship. And for some reason, she elected me to be in this basketball. And I was like, you do know that I don't play basketball whatsoever. Like, look at me. Like, I have no business being. There's no way. She goes, it'll be fine. And then as they were announcing some of the people that were going to be in it, like during the pep rally, they said my name and it was nothing but crickets. And I went, and my whole body just went.
Yeah, that's not a great feeling.
Like, and I just immediately felt this whole letdown, and I was like, I don't really have any business being here, but I'm gonna do the best I can because I don't really care. But that I remember that unlocked a memory for me because you were like, hey, there was just crickets, and I was like, I remember being on a pedestal. And a teacher was like, you're going to do this because I think you're going to have a lot of fun. Well, yeah, I'm definitely going to have fun. But none of these people said anything or cheered or whatsoever. And I just went, all right. I'm not. I was like, I'm not surprised, but I was kind of hoping something cool would happen.
Yeah. No.
So.
Same.
Well, and then the senior teacher dodgeball game was, same thing happened. It was just crickets. How did I get dragged into this? Because immediately my thought process was,
not my choice.
I was like, how did I get dragged into this? And nobody knows who I am. But this teacher elected me to do this. So obviously I did something right. But none of these, what is happening here? Yeah. Why am I here? But you know what? I'm here. So I guess I'll just figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, I want you to, I said your name and they said you were going to do it. And I was like, okay, cool. Why am I doing this? And then it's crickets. Nobody cheered. Nobody said nothing. I was like, how did I get here? I'm literally on this basketball court. I have no business being on this basketball court. Nobody cheered. How did I get here?
Yeah.
And then that was just the whole crickets moment kind of off the memory. I was like, I've had that happen, but in front of 1,000 students. And I was like,
our announcements were called the eye patch whatever because our mascot was the Pirates. And I was literally sitting in our homeroom when they showed it that was their time to show the announcements. And they were talking about track, and they were like, "Oh, well, let's congratulate Marie for blah blah blah." And they like showed my little picture or whatever. This girl next to me, she was like, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Not me, sitting right next to you."
Me, I would have been like, I'd have looked right at him. Have you lost your mind? Like, hello?
It stunned me into complete silence. I was like,
man.
"Oh my gosh!" Like I was embarrassed.
Okay, that brings up another one. So
sorry, we've totally derailed this. But you
it's
go
fine.
ahead. Yeah, Lena. I remember that.
I don't remember that. I know Genzel had a lot of personality behind him, and he does a lot. Yeah, so I don't remember that.
Look up and see if he ever got his label.
When we were senior year, when we were in high school, I was on the billiards team, and there's two parts to the story. I had a really good night on one of our outings, and I think I went 10-2 or 11-1, something like that. I played or something like that. I can't remember. And they sent an email out congratulating.
That's awesome.
Yeah, congratulating us. Yeah, because I win 3 games these days, and it's like a fucking miracle. But I had a really good night that day, and I helped I was like, I finished high on our team, and I did a really good night, right? They sent an email out to all the teachers saying, how well we performed and all this other stuff. And then they did the eye patch announcements, and they said my name, and nobody said anything. They knew who I was. They knew my name, and they were like, and I was like, well, this doesn't matter. Okay, cool. As I was like walking down the hallway, one of my teachers, Mr. Davison, by the way, the one that hated my guts, was like, "Hey, there's the bull shark. Good job last night." I went, "What?"
Yes.
Thank you. I still said thank you. And then I just walked, and then I remember he passed by me, and I stopped him in the hallway and went, "How?" And I was like, but that reinforced the fact that during our senior yearbook, this is why I don't own any of the yearbooks, by the way. You people pissed me off. I just want you to know this.
I point it out all the time, too.
I know you do. The one picture of me in the yearbook, right? And my mom is very upset about this. Well, the fact that I didn't do senior photos because I didn't want to, and I just didn't show up on those days.
Dylan.
I can't fix it, okay? There's nothing I can do about it now, all right? It is what it is. But
first of all, you had to go to the studio. It was a different kind of picture.
The cap and gown thing, or
the senior photos in the yearbook, you had to go to B&E.
Oh, well, I didn't do that.
Over the summer.
I didn't do that. And I didn't want to. So I didn't.
Okay, anyway.
I was working during the summer. So again, brain, why would I do this when I could make money doing this? Looking back on it now, whatever.
Thank you. That's all I wanted.
Anyway, the one picture of me in my yearbook, my senior yearbook, is me on a pool table with the wrong name.
It gets me every time. I'm sorry.
I don't know who.
And the thing is that they mashed 2 names together. Like the person that they listed isn't even a real person.
No. The person that they mashed me with is a real person, but he was a freshman at Wiley East.
Oh, I thought that they mashed like Billy's name.
No, Billy was on the team.
I know that.
Right. No. That person the name they gave me was a real person, but he was a freshman.
Oh.
But he was a freshman at Wiley East. He didn't go anywhere. He wasn't anywhere close to me in a grade.
I wish I had the page memorized because I literally tease him about this all the time.
That's the name they gave me.
Yeah. Okay.
And
that's very interesting because I really did think that they mashed 2 names together.
No, that was a real person who didn't even go to our school.
That went to Wiley East.
That went to the freshman. At that time, it was the freshman center. Yeah, whatever. It was Wiley East.
Oh, that's funny.
So again, we will forever, ever, to the day I die, I will never forgive you. I don't care who. I don't know who was in charge of the yearbook that year, but you failed. You failed, and I will hold on to that for the rest of my life. Because the one, my mom was so sick to her stomach because she's like, you didn't do the senior pictures, but at least you have this picture here. And I was like, yeah. She was upset because she was like, I know you. She's like, you didn't want to do the senior pictures, but at least they had pictures of you doing stuff that you loved, like doing the video stuff with the football team and then doing the pool. She's like, I'd rather you do those. I'd rather you have those than your senior picture. So she was okay with that. But here's the best part about that. So they had a whole page dedicated to, we were called the V team at that time because we did for the video stuff for the football team. They had a whole page dedicated to us on that. And and my name was in there and there was a picture of me in there with the right name.
Yeah.
You flip 2 pages later with the pool team, I'm somebody else.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I will never forget when the yearbooks came out. I will never forget. And I was blinded by rage, hatred, all kinds of stuff. I'm pretty sure I was not, I'm pretty sure they had to call Officer Barker to come and pull me out of that classroom because I went in there and I remember walking into the yearbook classroom and I slammed the yearbook down on that page and I said, what the? And they were like, excuse me? And I was like, how do you get my name wrong? Literally, there's 2 pages here between the 2 of us. You got my name wrong. I was like, I don't have any photos in this yearbook. That's my problem. That's my fault. But how do you get my name?
Oh, Dylan.
I was like,
so sorry that happened.
I was like, you have completely lost your mind. And I was like, you're a failure. I was like, you have no business doing this. I was like, how do you get all this stuff right, but then you fail at this? I was like, and I was attacking this person
Yeah.
vehemently. And then she called, I think it was Mr. Johnson at the time. And he came and yanked me out of that classroom. And he's like, you can't talk to people like that. And I was like, I don't give up. Okay. And that's another one. Okay. Actually, you know what? That's a trigger for me. When people don't remember, that frustrates me, or they call me the wrong name. It frustrates me to no end because I'm just like, how do you not remember my name? I've known you for several years. How do you not know? That makes no sense to me, right? If I've just met you or I don't see you on a daily basis and you forget my name, no problem. But if I've known you almost my entire life, how do you get my name? How do you not know who I am?
Because you went to school in Wiley.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They called me the wrong name at graduation, and my mom was mad because she's like, I've spent so much time teaching in this district. I think it was Kirkpatrick who said my name at graduation. I'm like, you know me.
You should know better.
Maria.
That would piss me off.
Yeah, I
remember
got home and my family was like, "Hey, Maria."
I remember, I don't know if anybody remembers during graduation when myself and a couple of other people, we took polos on the stage.
Oh, yep.
I literally threw mine at the yearbook teacher.
Oh, Dylan.
Yeah. What are they going to do? Not give me my diploma? I'm out. Listen, if I didn't have to, if they didn't make me stay at that graduation ceremony, after they said my name, I'm going to walk the stage and I would have walked right out of the building.
Yeah.
None of us wanted to be there. And they're like, well, we got to make this a spectacle. I don't want to be here. Say my name. Let me go. Yeah, we definitely derailed that conversation.
I know.
Lena, if you find that, I will never forget that. And that'll forever be.
Let's bring our bus back around and talk about maybe some grounding thoughts and then play our game and then wrap it up. I'm dreaming about those cauliflower, buffalo, whatever. I've never had cauliflower. I've always found a way to never eat it.
Avoid it.
Yeah. And then Dylan, what was it, 2 weeks ago? You ordered it. They have up at the Rack House where we go every Sunday after we film. They have this appetizer and it's buffalo. What is it called? Buffalo cauliflower.
It's I think it's buffalo cauliflower bites or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah. They're terrific.
Amazing.
They're terrific.
Now my mouth is watering.
You're welcome.
Okay, so let's talk about, you shared your mantra. How do we counterbalance anxiety? Anxiety isn't always right. It's just loud, is what it says here. So you personally use your anxiety to fuel my
next steps, whatever those steps might be, right?
But sometimes it's not always right. It's just loud. And you get, maybe this whole thing with the yearbook and going and confronting them.
Yeah, it's just fear of the fear itself, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So how do you have moments where you can stop mid rage and be like, let me direct this somewhere else?
So the good news is I've actually never had that rage moment outside of that particular case. Internally I do, but I've never actually had that rage case of just losing my mind. And 2 reasons. And again, I'm going to go back to Frank on this. 2 things. One of the books he introduced me to was called Growing Yourself Up by Pia Mellody. And in that book, she talks about the rage factor of is equivalent to a temper tantrum. And it's not adult-like behavior. Because a lot of us, our growth was stunted at one point because of certain traumas. And, so we don't always act our age because of X, Y, and Z. And the rage response is a childlike reaction, so to speak. So that rage portion, when I was reading that book, it clicked with me, but it didn't click with me because I've never had that. But it's also one of those things where it's okay, well, I don't want to look like a child in front of all these grown-ass adults. So I'm going to avoid not doing that. Now, there have been times where I've lost my mind and yelled and screamed, and mostly at the pool hall. But
yeah, I've been there for that.
And God have mercy on anybody who's in front of me. But again, she equated those to temper tantrums. And I'm just like, the last thing I want people to do is look at me like I'm some sort of child. So I'm going to do my best not to let that happen, right? Sometimes it happens, but it doesn't. But that's one of the things that came into play. The second thing that Frank brought to my attention is he goes, at a certain point during our sessions, and while you're discovering the things about yourself, you're going to discover things about other people that they did to you while you were growing up. He goes, there will be some unbridled rage that comes out that will be sort of triggering or something. He goes, he just brought it up to where he's like, the response of this is going to be rage because you're going to understand the things that these people did. He goes, but keep in mind that they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know what they did to you, or they don't know how they did this, right? He goes, so you're going to feel rage, and it's probably going to come. He goes, I'm not going to tell you how to live. I'm not going to tell you what to do. He goes, but I would highly recommend not losing your mind and trying to be an adult and keep those feelings grounded. He goes, because it's going to happen. And it has happened. I have discovered things about other people and other people in my life and the things they've done to me that has caused a little bit of rage. But I haven't lashed out in that rage because I was aware of it. And I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to come.
Yeah.
So I was prepared for those type of moments before they came. So I can't really speak to, it's happened before. And again, progress, not perfection, but it's happened a lot less than it would have had I not known about those type of feelings in those scenarios.
For rage specifically, for me, I almost physically cannot let it get there. Like it takes a lot for me to rage. And when I do hit that point, it's almost like it steals my breath. Like I will try and make a point or yell or whatever, and I can't get enough air because I'm just that angry that it comes out and it sounds ridiculous. I'm like fighting for my words. And then I'm very Irish. When I get heated, I break out into like angry splotches. You can tell when I'm mad.
Yeah.
I wear my emotion on my body. And then it makes me so hot, angry that my brain literally, it feels like it shuts down. Like I will get lightheaded and almost pass out because it doesn't happen to me very often. So I can't figure out how to control it and let it out in a healthy way. And then I think that's the result of going through all of these things, bottling it up, and then eventually there's so much pressure that the lid has to come off.
Right. So with those type of situations, like not me personally, but I have friends who are like that, and I try to do my best to keep them not necessarily keep them grounded, but I try to do my best to be like, listen, if there's something bothering you for me that I've done, right, I need you to tell me. Okay, because if you hold on to that stuff, it's going to come out. And it's happened a couple of times with a few of my other friends. And the problem is, though, I do that for two reasons. One, because I don't like conflict. I know we talked about the whole nice guy routine and stuff like that. I don't like conflict because I think it's unnecessary, right? I think that, again, the Cuban Missile Crisis was solved with a freaking phone call, okay? Tell me, talk to me, okay? Let's not yell, scream, stuff like that, because I don't like public confrontation, and I don't like loud screaming because I think it's unnecessary, for one. The second thing is I don't like that person that they bring out when they do that. I physically do not like the guy that comes out when I'm pushed into that position, because of the fact that I just don't like that person, because that person becomes the complete opposite of who I am. It's malice, it's malcontent, it's all these things that I try to avoid. And I will literally vehemently, verbally beat you down until you cannot. Like, I will just unleash all of this just horrible things. And I will say the most dastardly things to you until you physically cannot stand. You have made me feel disrespected, and there's no reason for that. Now you're gonna have to understand why I've done it. I don't like that guy that comes out of me because of the fact that I will say some very hurtful things, and I'll regret it. But in that moment, I just don't care. So I don't think that whole conflict avoidance I don't think that has anything to do with the whole nice guy thing. It's just the fact that I feel like there's better ways of having this conversation, and we can do that. But again, like I said before, if you want to turn this into a whole civil war, we can't. Just be prepared. I don't like that guy when that comes out, and that terrifies me, because I will definitely say some stuff that will forever probably be held against me, and that'll probably ruin a lot of friendships. I know that sounds a little egotistical or arrogant to say. It's just I try to avoid that guy because I don't like him. And he makes a lot of enemies, let me tell you.
I get that 100%.
And he's really good at it.
Yeah, rage is a hard one to get through.
Yeah, and like I said, I haven't experienced that portion of it. My anxiety prepared me for that because of the fact that I knew the type of person that I am. And I was like, I can't let people see me in this light. So we're going to try not to get to this point. So again, just like I said, it goes back to the whole thing where it's like, oh, when I lose my mind and I'll identify it as soon as it happens after it's done. I'll be like, oh crap, that was the wrong thing to do. Then I apologize, but then I'm like, all these people looking at me. So I try not to let that happen. That's why I just don't want people to look at me in that light. Like, oh, he's not a bad person, or he's a terrible person. I'm not a terrible person. I just got crossed at the wrong time.
Well, do you have any other finalities that you want to put out there before we jump into our little game?
Embrace it. Again, it's not a bad thing. It sucks, and it's not any fun to go through it, but I would do your best to embrace it and understand that every person has that portion of their brain that turns into that. Some people have a smaller aspect of it. Some people have an overactive, larger portion. Figure out which one you are, and then embrace it. Embrace and take comfort in the fact that you know what it is. Take comfort in the fact that you know that it's never going to go away, but it's there for your protection. And then identify why it's there. And also, don't be afraid to let it win. And I want to make sure I have a caveat on that, because I know there's going to be somebody out there that says there's like physically giving up, right? The whole mental health illness type of situation. Like, don't be afraid to let it win. What I mean by that is make sure that I get the caveat out there is if you continuously fight against these thought spirals that are just debilitating and they're just keeping you from doing the stuff that you want to do, instead of actively fighting against them, just be like, all right, listen, you can have today, or you can have the next 30 minutes, but I got stuff to do and I need to move on with my life. So let's figure this out so I can move forward. And you will be surprised. Again, this doesn't work for everybody. You would be surprised at how quickly your brain will go, well, now I've never got this far before. Now I don't know what to do. What was I thinking about? Well, now I don't know. Okay, well, cool. Now let me move on. And then internal monologue. So those are the couple of things. Those do come with caveats, of course, because again, I'm not a professional. I have no clue what I'm doing. This is what's worked for me, and this is what's helped me. Not going to work for everybody, but maybe it does. So that's 3 things that I wanted to add in there. So
Very good. Yes, we will leave you with a little moment of truth and encouragement. Anxiety isn't a flaw, it's a signal. Sometimes it says run, sometimes it says reach. Sometimes you have to reach for those moments.
Mm-hmm.
So
there's nothing wrong with just being okay with it.
Alrighty, well then let's jump into our little game. It's called Anxiety Said What? You're gonna have 3 options here. Totally relatable, girl breathe, or get a therapist, not a podcast mic. So, all right, first scenario. They didn't text me back in 17 minutes, so clearly I've ruined the friendship. Is that totally relatable? As far as anxiety.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's totally relatable, girl breathe, or what was the other one? I can't remember now.
Get a therapist, not a podcast mic.
Get a therapist, not a podcast mic.
Oh, is it possible to have all 3?
Sure.
Okay. So it's totally relatable.
This is our game. We make the rules.
Yeah, let's say it's totally relatable. Yeah, it's totally relatable in the fact that we all do it. I don't know anybody who doesn't do that, right? And there's nothing worse than when you're texting with somebody back and forth, and then all of a sudden you say something, and then they don't respond as quickly as they were before.
Yeah, or it says like red.
And it says red, right?
You're like, did I say something
yeah.
wrong?
Girl, breathe. Absolutely. You don't need to overthink it. It's probably not that bad. It goes back to what I say, no response is a response. So, and thirdly, get a therapist, not a podcast mic. Yeah. You can, it's up to you. Don't be like me and put your business out there for the world to see, or do.
It's healing.
It's funny, and I feel like it's fun. Right? Yeah. Well, it's fun for me. If I could use their names, I would. That's how dastardly I am about this whole thing. But I mean, yeah. Either way, definitely do the therapy. because that's going to help you regardless. And get the podcast mic. Just don't say their name. Or do. It's up to you. Just be ready for the legal ramifications if it happens.
Oh, okay. Number 2, I can't call to order food. What if I forget how to speak and accidentally propose to the cashier?
I have never once in my entire life ever thought that I would propose to somebody by accident.
Really? Man, I feel like that is pretty relatable in my life because I overthink phone calls so
Oh yeah, I
much.
overthink phone calls too, but I've never, like, for me, when somebody calls my phone, it's either one of two. It's either one of two things. It's either A, something's really wrong, or B, they want to talk to me about something or whatever. I think it's option one because something's really wrong because nobody ever calls me.
I hate talking on the phone for like making appointments or ordering food or whatever because I don't know, it feels like I'm bothering them almost, you know?
Making appointments, I would honestly rather talk to somebody on the phone when I'm making an appointment than doing it online, because that way I talk to a real person, and if I have any questions, I can ask them at that point in time. Ordering food, I don't call to order food ever.
DoorDash or
Yeah,
something.
DoorDash is much easier. But I've never once been afraid of misspeaking and accidentally proposing to the cashier. Have you ever done that?
I've not done that, but somebody's done that to me.
Was it somebody that you knew?
No.
Oh, it was just a random person?
Yes.
That's even
when
better.
I worked at Payway, I got proposed to over the phone.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, okay, over the phone. Okay, yeah, over the phone, that has happened to me before, but it was a completely different reason. So when I first started working in,
I said, "Thank you."
Yeah. Enjoy your food, me.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks, you too. Yes, I'm guilty of that all the time. I say it, I just keep walking. I'm just like, I know what I just did. I'm gonna act like I didn't. The hell with it. I remember when I first started working in customer service. This was several years ago, and I'll never forget. I was on the phone with somebody, and they told me that I sound like a phone sex operator.
Oh
I have,
my God.
for once in my entire
What do you
life,
say to that?
I just went, huh. Never once in my entire life have I ever called a phone sex operator line myself. Never have I ever. So I don't know what they sound like. So that just triggered another thought process of, I don't like my voice. So immediately I'm like, great. So not only do I dislike the way I sound, now I sound like somebody who gets paid for phone sex.
Oh, that is so funny.
Fantastic. It's like, okay, so I don't like my voice, but I guess other people do. So the whole, like, I can't relate to being proposed to on the phone. However, I can relate. I can say that I have been called a sex phone operator. I sound like one. And I'm like, immediately just triggering through my head going, well, how do I not sound like that now? And what do I do? Oh, yeah. And the sad part is it's happening more than once in 2 different companies. The company that I work with now happened to me when I first started working there. And I'm like, so I guess
happened to you twice now?
Yeah. So I'm like, I guess I missed my calling. I don't know.
Yeah, you need to pick up that weekend side gig.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. My whole brain just started going like, I don't know if I can do that.
Wait.
Have you ever seen the movie Valentine's Day?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Remember Anne Hathaway?
Taylor Swift?
Yeah. But you remember Anne Hathaway was she had 2 jobs. She was like an accountant and then she was like on the side, she was a phone sex operator.
Yeah.
And she kept that from her then boyfriend. And then they were like on a date on Valentine's Day, and she got a call from somebody, and she was talking while he was in the background, and he listened to it. But it got even worse because they would call her work phone, and they got her boss. Yeah.
Oh, I don't remember that part. I'm gonna have to rewatch that movie.
It's a good movie. I'm not into like romantic comedies, but that one was pretty good. Plus the freaking cast of characters in that movie. The cast of actors in that movie was just insane. Yeah, but yeah, that plus, well, Anne Hathaway. So what are you gonna do? Another question.
I think we're on 4. I told someone to have a good flight, and they weren't flying anywhere. It was probably like the ticket taker. They're like, "Have a good flight," and you're like, "You too."
Yeah, I do that. I do that all the time.
Very relatable for sure.
Yeah, totally. I do that all the time. I don't mean to, but it's just a triggered response of thanks, you too, or whatever.
Ooh, okay, number 5. If I don't double check the stove 5 times, it'll burn the house down and end up on the news. I cannot even tell you how many times I've done that. Like straightener oven, all the things that can leave a candle. Did I blow that out? Did I turn that off? Oh my gosh.
I will literally stress myself out about leaving, like something happening when I leave the house. Like leaving my door open when I'm leaving in the house. I will literally check my room door 4 or 5 times to make sure it's shut. Or like when I leave the house, we have these doors that have an automatic lock on it. And you push a button and it locks the door on its own. You have to have a code to get back in, right? Well, I am insanely guilty about I haven't normally forgot. I don't normally forget to do it, but I'm gonna knock on wood because, I will eventually. But I will literally it'll bother me so much that I will get in my car and I'll be driving down the road or whatever. I'll stop at a stop sign and I'll pull up my Ring camera, or I'll pull up the Ring camera and I'll turn the sound all the way up and I'll listen for the locking of the door because you can hear it lock. And if I don't hear it, then I'll go back and check it. But I'll hear the door lock and I'll be like, okay, cool, I'm good. That's how paranoid I get about it.
Oh wow, Dylan.
Yeah. So, and then even and then also there are some times where like I'll be like, I've checked it before, but I'll check it again and I'll do the same thing when I left the house. I'll just pull up the Ring and I'll listen for the sound. I'm like, oh yeah, I locked it. Cool. Oh yeah, guilty. I hate to say totally relatable, but it is. But also, girl, breathe.
Okay, the next one. I made a typo in an email. Now they think I'm incompetent and hate me.
I've had so many bosses that have accidentally cussed in an email or in a Teams message. Breathe.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. I mean, it's probably a terrible feeling for certain, but yeah, just breathe. Because I'm sure there's nobody who's never done that before.
I'm trying not to do the redundant one. My friend liked everyone's post but mine. She's obviously mad at me and it's over. Girl, breathe. Girl, breathe.
Yeah, breathe. It's not that big deal. I mean, the portion of that is relatable, but for me, it's like if I post something and then somebody shares it without liking it.
Well, so
that's when I get mad. I'm like, hey, wait, hold on. I give credit where it's due. You got that from me. So I need my flowers for that because that was really good and you know it.
I don't know about y'all, but my Facebook is just riddled with like, I'll get a post from a friend, a post from a place I'm not even following, an ad, and just like I hardly see any of my friends' stuff anymore.
Same. Why I try not to get on Facebook. Unless honestly, the only reason I'm on Facebook is so that I can share the stuff that we do.
I got on the other day and it asked me to get on the friends tab and I was like, what's that? So then I clicked over to it and it just had my no ads, nothing. And I was like, why do I need a tab for this? Why isn't it just this all the time?
Why can't I just tell you I don't want to see this and you don't let me see it?
I don't want to see something from a page I don't even follow.
Right. I get that a lot too.
Anyway, I'm sorry. That was
Lena said girl breathe.
Soapbox.
So we're overreacting.
Oh, if I go to the event and leave early, they'll think I'm rude. But if I stay, I'll die. I don't understand that one. But I kind of do. So, but if I stay, I'll die. Maybe like she's overwhelmed.
The anxiety will be overwhelming. Yeah. Absolutely relatable because I have this irrational fear of overstaying my welcome, being around 2 people or being around people for too long because I don't want them to see too much of me, right? I want them to see me stoic and this professional that I am. But then you also see the weird person that Dylan is. If you watch this,
yes, Lena.
Yeah, well, and you leave and you see this person, you see this side of me on the show, so it's not really going to matter. But I have this irrational fear of 2 things. 1, staying there for too long, and B, absence makes the heart grow fonder. So the less you see of me, the more you're going to want to see me, the more happier you will be to see me the next time. So I'm going to say relatable on that one, but also get a therapist.
Yeah.
But in case you haven't noticed, I also have a podcast mic too. So I'm not really the best person to ask that question to. Yeah, right? I get in trouble for not going to events anyway. So hey, it doesn't matter how hard I try. I can't fix it. It doesn't matter what I do.
I actually have FOMO when it comes to events, like concerts and things. Like I will stay until the house lights come on and people are literally leaving because I'm like, what if they come back? Yeah. I don't understand how people leave during the encore. Like I know traffic's gonna be terrible, but it's gonna be terrible anyway. So yeah, I have a little bit of a fear of missing out.
So concerts for me is a little bit different. I'll definitely stay as long as I can, right? But it's like events like, we were talking about weddings, parties, stuff like that. That's when I'm like, all right, I'm here because you guys wanted to see me, but I don't want you to see too much of me. So I got something I got to go do.
Dylan.
Yeah, I know. I expose myself one day at a time.
You do that at every party that I think I've ever thrown.
Yep. And have you ever noticed that I never drink hardly at those parties that we're at?
Yes, I do.
Because I don't want people to see me in that light. And two, I want to be able to leave
whenever you want.
Whenever I want to, for one. And two, also, I would rather people not see that side of me. And I feel like if I have to stay, I'll overweight. If I drink, I'll be forced to stay. But if I don't, I can leave whenever I want to. And also, I won't overstay my welcome. And they're not going to miss me when I'm gone. So, hey, there's a lot of people here. It's fine. That's me talking to myself, not you. That's me telling myself it's okay for me to do that, right?
I will slap you.
I know. But again, I told you that's the irrational fear of.
I don't think I could ever slap anybody in my whole life. I've slapped one person. I'm so sorry.
Irrational fear of doing all that stuff because
I invited you. I want you there.
I can see the wheels turning. I can feel the fire. I know, but it's just something in my head that goes. I'm going to overstay my welcome and they're going to see too much of me. So let me just go ahead and get out of here on a good note or whatever. Again, get a therapist, not a podcast.
Okay, so the last one that we'll end on, I waved at someone who wasn't waving at me. I can never show my face again.
Breathe.
I feel this. It hurts. I feel this so bad. Oh my gosh. This happened to me last night. I was walking out of a place. I had grabbed my food to go or whatever. And I'm walking out and there's this guy and I'm passing him and he was like, "Are you leaving for the night?" And I turned around and I said, "Yeah." He was on the phone with somebody else. And I was like, just lowered my head like, I hope he didn't actually hear me.
I hope he has no clue I was talking to him. It's definitely relatable, but also a breathing moment because I do that all the time. I do that all the time. And honestly, I don't care. Because I rationalize it in my head. If I'm looking this way and you're waving at something, you're waving at somebody behind me and I just wave, it's a nice thing. It's a nice gesture. I'm just going to wave back. You're not waving at me. Story kind of related to this. When I was at the office last month at my work, one of the managers he was in his office and I walked past, he was talking to somebody and I walked past his office. And then one of his colleagues or one of his actual team members walked past as well. And I overheard him say, "Oh, I need to talk to him." I didn't know he was talking about the person behind me. So immediately I turned around. But what ended up happening was that manager was moving so fast that he tripped over his chair. And as he was like plummeting his way into me, I caught him.
Oh my God.
I literally caught him and it was like, and put it back up and he goes, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "I don't know what just happened, but I'm glad you were there." And I went and I was like, and then he started talking. And then I got to the awkward point where he was talking to the person he wanted to talk to. And I was right in the middle. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I left. And then the next day he was like, he goes, "I don't know how you did that, but that was great." And I was like, I overheard you say, "I need to talk to him." I didn't know it was your guy behind me. So I just happened to turn around as you were doing that. And he goes, "Well, I'm glad you did because that would have been really embarrassing. I probably would have hurt myself." And I was like, hey, so yeah.
Oh my God.
So it's relatable in the fact that I've had that happen before.
Yeah.
It happens to me all the time. But like that particular moment, I overheard them say, "I need to talk to him." He didn't need to talk to me, but just lucky. I just happened to turn around and like, "Oh, hey, there's somebody coming up my face." Okay.
That's crazy. You're just like, "Oh, I just saved your life." That's your superpower.
Not anymore. It's not. I don't save people anymore. I am not a hero.
Aww.
My therapist tells me I'm not allowed to be a hero.
Well.
And my friend also tells me I'm not allowed to solve puzzles, which is my favorite thing. Sorry. Anyway.
On next week's episode.
Yeah, right?
No, just kidding.
Dylan gets bludgeoned to death because Marie found out so much about him today.
Oh,
Lena, thank you very much. And anybody else who's still in the chat with us on Instagram, thank you guys very much. The participation is always welcome. If you are able to, jump over to TikTok with us. We'd love to have you if Marie decides she wants to do something. I'm going to leave it up to you. Don't have anything prepared?
No.
You want to end this and take a few minutes and figure out yes, we are glad you got to join today too.
Thank you, Lena.
We will need to get in touch and talk about either no, there is no either. Having you back on here for another nice little chat and also coming in for a session because that sounds like a lot of fun and it sounds like something we need to do.
Yeah.
So, But yes, we are very glad that all of you joined us. We're going to discuss going live on TikTok, and if we see you there, we will. If not, thank you again for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure. Cannot say enough the love and adoration we have for all of you for the love on Instagram.
All of our socials.
Yeah, all of our socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, here at Riverside. So very blessed. Thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Bye.